Take a quick look at the stock market here. Now, believe it or not, this is better than we were about 20 minutes ago, but it's still not good. As you can see, we're down 7%, more than 7.5%, 1992 on the New York Stock Exchange. The S&P and NASDAQ do not look good today either. In fact, we triggered a level 1 circuit breaker out of the opening gate this morning when the S&P dropped 7%. Market stopped trading for about 15 minutes, came back online. We've been trading ever since. And that brings us now to our expert who is joining us to talk about the market today, Dennis Brewster, financial analyst. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's start out to explain to folks. And we've been hearing about coronavirus over the last few weeks affecting the markets, which were struggling last week. How have things changed?
Well, it's been a difficult couple weeks. So I think what the big factor is and what really the markets hate is uncertainty. And when you look at the situation we're in, how far is the virus going to go? Nobody really knows. So what's the economic impact going to be? Well, you don't know because you don't know how far the virus is going to go. So you combine those two with a market that was pretty much priced for perfection coming into the year. And now you've got a very difficult recipe, and that's why we're seeing such a sudden shock to the markets here.
And we also saw overnight the oil price war and what it was doing to futures between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Can you talk a little bit about how that factors in here, and also could potentially be a ripple effect that's related to coronavirus?
Right. Well, the third factor is energy, because now you've got a price war going on with oil. So that's been a huge impact to the markets, as those companies have had a very difficult time. Price of oil has dropped way down. Well, when you look at travel, is probably the thing that's most directly affected. And of course, they're a big user of oil and energy. So that compounds and just adds to the problem that we're facing.
And can you talk about the mixed blessing here? So if oil is way down, in theory, that would bring down gas prices at the pump, but that's not necessarily good news in the long run.
No, I mean, in the short run, it could be a benefit for you, I, and everyone that's using gas for your car. You do get prices that's come down. It's a little bit of a quote-unquote tax break in a way. Also, the interest rates have come way down, so that would help certain home buyers and other people. But you know, right now we're in the middle of the markets trying to find what's the right level here, you know, without knowing what's the economic damage.
It sounds like what you're saying is there's no way to predict how much longer we're going to see the market struggling.
That's the hardest part, because nobody knows how far the virus is going to go. And if you don't know how far the virus is going to go, it's very hard to know the economic damage. And none of us can control that. You know, we can really only control how we react to all of this. All
right, let's talk about people. A lot of people have 401ks, or they may have a little bit of stock here and there, and they're seeing the prices plummeting. You've always been the voice of reason. Most experts will say, don't panic, stay the course. But it's very difficult when you're seeing this happening.
Right. I mean, we hear it all the time. But doing it when you're in the middle of it is a totally different story. And this morning, if you turn on the news and looked at the market, how sharply it reacted, it's very hard. So I think what all of us have to remember, we can't control the virus. We can't control the economic uncertainty. We can only control what we can do and how you react. And you've just got to understand that the markets are liquid, and when they go south, this is part of the drawback of liquid markets, but we will get through it. I know it doesn't seem that way right now. The markets will rebound. The economy will get through this. I mean, it's a real shock and a sudden one, but they will get this figured out and get through it.
So don't dump your stock, don't sell.
No,
What about for people who find themselves up against it? There may be some people out there saying, wow, I really needed to tap into that and it has gone down. What should they do?
Yeah, that's different. That's a much more difficult situation. If you know it's money you need in a year, or maybe even a little bit longer, it really doesn't belong in the markets because you're subject to too much short-term risk. So that's someone who should, you know, maybe consider at least taking something out. As much as you don't want to sell into a decline, if it's money you know you're going to need, it's hard to tell how far this decline is going to run. You just don't know. I mean, we all know it'll run its course and will turn around, but you just don't know how much and when.
All right, but still try not to panic as much as it seems like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Dennis Brewster, really appreciate your insights today and being that voice of reason.
Yeah, well, thank you.